Um, Thanks, Julie. Welcome, everybody. I'm Reyes Gavilan, Executive Director of DC Public Library. It is an honor to have you all here today at the historic Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial Library. I'm sure this is maybe the first time for many of you to be in this building. I really encourage you, if you have time, to explore it at your leisure. We reopened it to the public in late 2020 after a $211 million modernization. It is the first, it's the only library in the world designed and built by Mies van der Rohe, the famous German-American architect, and it is the first monument dedicated to Martin Luther King in Washington, D.C. It opened in 1972 and again renovated, modernized fully in 2020. And the significance of the building, I give talks on just this building, and it's a really, really powerful space for many residents in DC, especially having this building named after Dr. King. The first building that reflected the residents who lived here. Washington, D.C. was almost 75% Black in 1972, and it was just an incredible statement to have something of this significance, the Central Library, the new Central Library, named in his honor. So I met Congressman Baird in late 2021, late 2021, early 2022. We were connected by the board chair for DC Public Library at the time, Gregory McCarthy, who is somewhere in this building. Congressman Baird shared his vision for a museum and wanted to talk about what synergies existed between the library and the museum insofar as how we might help with a prototype, and in other ways just figure out how we might be able to work together. He understood that we have a great desire at DC Public Library, especially in this building, to partner with museums, especially museums who are still thinking about what their physical space should be. So we had a wonderful exhibition for about a year here with the National Women's History Museum, a fantastic museum about Black feminism in DC called We Who Believe in Freedom. We partnered with the Children's Museum of Indianapolis on this fantastic exhibition about Emmett Till. We partnered with the Biblioteca Ambrosiana in Milan, and we brought 12 original Leonardo da Vinci drawings to the library in the summer of 2023, and on and on and on and on. Some of the partnerships were linked thematically to the teachings of Dr. King, which is, of course, is an important goal of ours, but some weren't. Of course, an exhibition on the value of service is ideal for us. Setting aside the teachings of Dr. King for a moment, it really occurs to me as I was preparing to give a few minutes of talk this morning that more than ever in their history, public libraries are service organizations. For most of my life, and I've been working in libraries for almost 30 years, public libraries were first and foremost institutions devoted to learning, and the primary vehicle through which that learning took place was, of course, books. As libraries have evolved since the advent of the internet, our business model has shifted from helping residents find the right book to helping residents find the right service. It started about 25 years ago when libraries began offering residents access to high-speed internet. Today, with life having moved inexorably and relentlessly online, libraries continue to offer this critical service that everyone in this room couldn't fathom living without. Recently, after the devastation of the hurricane in Asheville, North Carolina, I was taken by a photograph that was published in the newspaper with residents crowding around the local public library, which was closed, but I guess the Wi-Fi was still working. And they were all huddling around the library, trying to connect to the Wi-Fi. And that, I think, just speaks to the value that libraries provide their communities, especially in emergencies. You look at things like 2021, when most people were working from home, libraries were working with the departments of health to serve as COVID service centers. In DC, libraries have distributed, in the course of a year and change, 1.3 million test kits to residents who couldn't find them anywhere else, but they knew where their local library was. They knew that we were trusted sources of information, and that's where they picked up their kits. We also had a few libraries, including this one, serving as vaccine centers. And we administered more than 11,000 vaccines in 2021. The examples abound. During the Black Lives Matter protests here in DC, we worked with the Chamber of Commerce to preserve the protest art that was painted on the plywood boards installed to protect the property in and around the White House. We hosted conversations around Don't Mute DC, which was a local take on the murder of George Floyd and the changes taking place in our cities and systemic racism and related topics. In the last decade, libraries have embraced their role in the human services ecosystem. We've hired social workers. We've got peer navigators. These are individuals with lived experience of homelessness who are now working in libraries to connect our residents who are homeless or are at risk of being homeless with direct support. Our library foundation purchases care kits that we hand out to residents who come into our buildings. And these care kits involve things like clean socks and deodorant and things of this nature. And of course, we do all sorts of programs now, like Coffee and Conversation, that really sort of respect the dignity of everyone who comes into this building and thinks about their perspective and what their needs are when it's not just coming in for a good book or an author talk. Even library buildings are rethinking their service model in order to be more helpful in the effort of providing better services. In 2020, the library published a new facilities master plan that we called Nex Libris. And in that plan, we state that we will not build any new libraries if there's not going to be a housing component that comes with that building. So it's just pretty much everything that we do is like, how can we do more and how can we do better beyond that transactional role that libraries have historically played. Finally, as we approach the November election, it's notable that all DC libraries serve as election sites, whether it's for dropping off your ballots, or people will be able to come vote in this building in the next few weeks. We're also offering more and more classes around civics. We're offering classes around misinformation and disinformation, which is the next frontier in terms of people's understanding of what they see online. I can go on and on and on and on, and it's no wonder that DCPL 2 months ago was recently awarded the 2024 National Medal of Museum and Library Services, something that I am extremely proud about. But before I end, I feel I've given the importance of reading short shrift. Libraries, of course, still are a space for reading, and we still are a space for books, and there is still very much a tie to service there. In 2004, the NEA published its landmark report, Reading at Risk, that documented a steep decline in the reading of literature and other imaginative works in the United States. The study upon which Reading at Risk was based is the Survey for Public Participation in the Arts, which is done every decade or so. And the study shows a just incredibly strong corollary between reading and other forms of civic participation, including philanthropy, voting, museum attendance, sports attendance, and importantly for this conversation, volunteering. And that corollary exists, by the way, when even factoring in things like income and other factors. So while we're all working together today to focus on our efforts on service, let's add similar efforts to get people reading, because I guess we have to, and it's the right thing to do. So thank you all for coming. Look forward to chatting with you some more, and enjoy the rest of the day.